It's Monday, December 8th. Welcome to Scouting the League. The college football playoff is set. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit debate on that. But from a scouting perspective, what does the trickle down from those top 12 mean? And we also have some coaching changes coming into shape. And what does that mean for scouts as we see big names moving from conference to conference and within conference? All that today. But first, let me remind you to like, subscribe, share this podcast wherever you are listening and watching, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or our home over at Fans for Sports Network and Pro Football Insiders. Make sure you hit those buttons, share it with a friend. And that is the big one. Share this one with a friend. Again, not just a football fan, but somebody that lives it, is in the business, doing the work every day. Make sure they're tuning in to Scouting the League as we bring you behind the scenes every week, no matter what element of the football world we're in, the scouting world, the coaching world, bringing you guests to give you insight no matter where you're at. So share with a friend and let us know what you want to hear. I am Roderick David at Right Step ADV on Twitter is where you can find me. My website, rsafootball.com. That is Right Step Advising, where I'm doing everything this time of year to help agents, players, schools, teams, everyone do and make the best right decision. Again, if that means draft and interview prep, I got some of those lined up already. Scouting reports, I'm knocking those out every day. If there is something in the football world I can help you with, make sure you head over, send me a message, find my phone number, hit me up on X. I will make sure and get back to you. All that over at rsafootball.com. And scouts and aspiring scouts, while you're there, make sure you check out thescoutingcommunity.com, the spot for scouts and aspiring scouts to be a part of a network, closed network only for either scouts or for aspiring scouts who want to be in the business one day. Make sure you are signed up and let's have a conversation, get you the information, data, salary information, everything you need to make that right decision in your scouting community. And voting is going on in Neil Stratton's Inside the League Scouting Reports, Scouting Awards. It will be presented at the 2026 Combine. So make sure you're checking that out as Neil and I continue to do all we can to make sure scouts are recognized for the hard work they do. And last but not least, make sure you go check out the Blue Maka insoles that we are partnering with, Blue Maka, BLUMAKA.com. Get those insoles. Use code SCOUTING20 at checkout for that discount on your order, whether it's recovery insoles, whether it's that non-slip that should be a part of every training package for agents across the industry, or that carbon fiber split toe insole for that turf toe. Make sure you get them. Make sure they're in your shoes and make sure you let them know that I sent you using that code SCOUTING20. So let's get to the college football playoff. Of course, a big, we'll call it upset, maybe a surprise for some. A good Indiana team edges out Ohio State, who could just not make the plays down in the red zone. But again, they will be the number 2 seed. They will have a chance to get back to where they want to be. It did it with more losses last year. So again, we will see where Ohio State ends up. Indiana, of course, number 1. Georgia is number 3 as they win the SEC championship. Tech wins the Big 12 and comes in at the number 4 seed. After that, you get Oregon at 5, Ole Miss at 6, who is going to be doing it with a new coach or, new-ish head coach. Texas A&M, their lone loss to the Texas Longhorns at 7. Oklahoma sneaks into the number 8 spot. Again, we can debate where they belong in this conversation, why they end up at 8 of all spots. But again, Oklahoma's at 8. Alabama, after losing in the SEC championship, 10-3, they end up at number 9. Again, absolutely deserve to be in this field of 12. Hard to hold that third loss against them when it comes in a conference championship game, but plenty of people want to talk about Alabama not deserving to be in there. Again, I absolutely think Alabama deserves to be in there at 10-3. They're the 9 seed. Miami, that was one of the big debates at 10-2, not a part of their conference championship, but in there at 10-2. And then you get Tulane and James Madison. That is where the conversation really starts to come. Tulane, whose best wins are Northwestern and Duke, who wins the ACC, but they also turn around, lose to UTSA, and don't have much of a game against Ole Miss, get really thumped down in that one. James Madison, best win is Washington State. That's not a premier win other than the fact that they are a power conference team. And then you also lose to Louisville, again, fairly handily at 11-2, 11-2 Tulane, James Madison. They round out the top 12, which means No Notre Dame. That's one of the big ones. Also, no Vanderbilt. Again, you could certainly make the case if we're talking Tulane, James Madison, potentially not deserving to be in there. And again, I apologize to my Tulane and James Madison people, but you know, you don't belong to be in there. I'm going to just say it like it is. You do not belong in there over Notre Dame and Vanderbilt. Again, I could make the argument for a school like Texas as well being in there, where James Madison, Tulane just don't have the same, marquee wins, the same week in and week out conference, up and downs. Again, if you're in a Power Four conference, again, take all the conference of SEC, Big 10, Big 12. You can take all the rest of it out of it. If you're in a power conference and you end up with 10 or 11 wins, you absolutely belong in. Again, that's not Tulane or James Madison. Again, it's a question for the College Football Playoff Committee. Why are we still tagging anything that requires you to not potentially take just the 12 best teams? I think in the rankings, you're talking, 15 to the 20s rankings for both these teams, not a top 12 team. So again, why are we, earmarking spots for some of these schools like Tulane, James Madison? I don't think it's necessary. Again, maybe at a certain time it was, certainly not now. We need the best 12 teams in it. Again, college football, I think, will continue to get it sorted out. But again, that's not where I want to spend the bulk of this conversation. With no college football playoff, Notre Dame goes ahead and opts out of playing a bowl game. Kansas State, Iowa State, both going through coaching changes, opt out as well. They're getting fined by their conferences. What does it all mean for scouts? What does it mean for these teams, for these players? That's what I want to focus on here for a minute. So Notre Dame, that's the one that I'm going to focus on right now because, again, it's the head scratcher. Again, I've seen people say, hey, it's the take your ball home and not play category since, again, they don't get in. Hey, we're just going to not going to play. Like, it's tough. I know you're mad about it as Notre Dame fans. Again, brother-in-law, very disappointed that Notre Dame's not playing in that college football playoff. Again, I get it. I understand it stinks. You also lost 2 games. So, again, you put yourself in that conversation. You're also not a part of a conference. I wonder if the college football playoff is penalizing Notre Dame a little bit for not having a conference. Again, that is part of the choice they've made as college football has changed. They've stayed independent. Again, I only think it's going to happen for so much longer. The light is at the end of the tunnel for that. But again, what does it mean from a scouting perspective? So Notre Dame not going to play in a bowl game, which means right off the bat, it is one less opportunity for game film for 2027 and beyond athletes. Of course, some of these 2026 guys that are maybe lower grades, undrafted free agents, it is one less game for all these players, one less opportunity to leave it all on the field to showcase for scouts what they can do for them, which from a scouting standpoint is always disappointing. If you're talking 2026 draft, it can be the final marker. It can be one standout game. It can be one big catch or one punt return away from getting yourself moved up a spot or getting a coach or a scout excited about you. So for players who don't get that opportunity, I'm gutted for them because they have worked their whole opportunity, their whole lives for this. They were hoping for at least one more. For some of these players, they may never play in another football game again. And that is disappointing to see. A bowl game would have been that opportunity. Maybe it was not where you wanted to be, but for these players, it gutted for them. It's also for 2027 athletes. That bowl game is almost always the first spot of film a scout's going to go to when getting their spring and summer report together. I remember looking at bowl games when I am starting to get my spring and summer list. Who do I need to look at in the fall of 2026? Thinking about the 2027 draft. Probably some of these players that were maybe part-time guys going to be getting almost every snap in that bowl game. Or, hey, they were behind a starter, the starter chooses to opt out. This is going to be my first chance to start, to carry the load in this game. Do a great job setting the stage for what's going to be a full 2026 fall of film for you by putting together a really good bowl game. It was the first game I would always go to. I want to go see, hey, you get the chance to start now. You get the chance to be the premier guy. Again, it's happened over and over again. Guys, take that momentum, start running through the fall 2026 with it and really set the stage. So again, from the 2026 and 2027 draft standpoint, again, it is disappointing for these guys. It is, 50 to 60, maybe 70 snaps that they will never get back. And again, that is disappointing to see. The other spot of it is less practice time. Again, it's always something I've heard good coaches talk about is we get the opportunity to get 10 to 15 practices to make adjustments, to maybe work new stuff in. If you know a new coach is coming, you know you're going to have something different. Maybe you've got a new quarterback playing. You can adjust some scheme a little bit, showcase players in a new way, get players involved in different ways. Practice time matters. When you're talking about 15 practices, 10 to 15 practices, you're probably talking about 3 to 4 weeks of in-season practices, type of practices that you do not get. Again, everybody talks about how important practice time is, the limits on it, everything. Again, you're turning down the opportunity to get practice time, film time, meeting room time, all this time to get better. And again, for players, I'm just disappointed for it. Again, I get it. I get why you don't, as an institution, want to go and play in a bowl game. But again, it's more than you. It's more than the issue. Think about the players. Again, for everybody who wants to talk about all players, it's about the players. Again, make it true. Make it about the players. Go out there and play. And again, the last reason, completely peripheral to anything from a scouting perspective. Some of these bowl games, a lot of fun. You get a lot of swag. You get to go to a lot of really cool places. You get to check out some of these sites where, again, players have never been, spots where players don't even think about, don't even know where they are at on a map. I have heard the stories. Guys did not know where they were going. I've never been out of the South. I've never been off the West Coast. I've never been here, there, or the other. And I get to go to a place that I've never been. Go play in a baseball stadium that's iconic that you grew up watching. Go play down in the Bahamas. Go play at a really cool NFL stadium. Maybe the only chance some of these players ever have to play in that NFL stadium or any of these other cool spots. Again, for the players, it can be not the weeks of practice, the weeks of fun, the weeks of all that goes into the bowl game. Disappointing for them from that standpoint. So again, really tough situation. I hate it for LSU or for Notre Dame. I hate it for these other schools, Kansas State, Iowa State, anybody else that chooses to opt out. If you lose half your team to the transfer portal, you can't put anybody you can't put a product on the field. That's a completely different thing. That's certainly not the case for these schools. So again, gutted for the players. Hope this thing continues to change. As we need some leadership, we need some structure. NCAA, you need some direction. Give me a call. Happy to come in and talk to you, help sort everything out. But let's go down to Lane and LSU now. Of course, Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss in the middle of this college football playoff run to head over to LSU, a decision anyone in that role would make, especially if you have no allegiance from an alma mater standpoint to Ole Miss. LSU is a blue blood program. They are a premier program. Ole Miss is not. Again, I'm going to have some Ole Miss people who I work closely with probably call me on it. LSU and Ole Miss are not the same. LSU is a better opportunity for Lane Kiffin to get the number one seed, to win SEC championships, to win a college football national championship. So to fault Lane for leaving, again, I would say impossible. If you're doing that, you're stretching. You should probably become a contortionist to try to make that argument. Now, how it was done, again, we're hearing plenty from the AD, plenty from Lane, plenty from the players, plenty from everybody in there. At the end of the day, it's a lose-lose for everybody because, again, the schedule that is college football basically dictates that Lane has to get going and get started at LSU if he wants to, make the decisions for this roster in 2026 that he's going to have to make. And again, for Ole Miss, you can't fault them for saying no, like thanks, but no thanks. You can go ahead and go over there and work because, again, Ole Miss has to move on. They've got their new head coach. They're wanting to go and make a run in this thing. But again, they know that the longer Lane sticks around Ole Miss, the longer he's there, probably the more behind Ole Miss becomes, and again, potentially the more that Lane is going to take with him. So again, it is a lose-lose for both of them. But again, what does it mean for scouts? And this is where I want to talk in this situation. What does it mean for scouts? Again, Ole Miss, again, they are back to being a solid SEC factory for schools. Ole Miss has always been, hey, they've got a couple guys, 3, 4, big year. Maybe they get 5, 6 draft picks, high-end guys. Again, they're going to be staying in that 4 to 5. I don't expect Ole Miss to all of a sudden disappear. Again, Lane has helped make them a team that you reckon with in the SEC. Not an easy out like they've been in other years, like some of the other SEC teams are. So again, you definitely have to stay on your Ole Miss. From the LSU standpoint, they are a factory. This is a school that, almost always you're talking 8, 9, 10 draft picks. You're talking about a bunch of juniors, a bunch of retro sophomores that come in, high-end athletes, raw development, whatever it may be, players that are going to play in the NFL because they have such outstanding traits. And where Lane's opportunity to make this one of the premier stops. Again, anytime a head coach has the opportunity to make a school a premier spot for NFL teams to come through, GM, scouts, whoever it is. LSU at times has been good, at times has been down. Sounds like LSU or Ole Miss with Lane was kind of similar. Again, set the standard of this is who we're going to be wide open. Come draft our guys, come scout our guys, come get our guys, take them to the league, load up NFL rosters with these LSU players. Lane absolutely has a shot to do that. Again, from day one, open up the doors, let scouts in the building, let them come do their thing, let them see your players, get to know you, get to know the staff, get to know the players. That will help you more than you might realize in today's day and age where players want to know either if I'm transferring or enrolling, I want to be in front of NFL scouts. Make sure you set the tone early on. Don't go the way of other Hall of Fame coaches in the ACC. Make your own mark. Go the way of Nick Saban. Open the doors. Make it the best visit in the SEC. Bring everybody along with you. Lane Kiffin, that's my challenge for you and the whole staff there at LSU. Make LSU the best visit in the country. Make scouts want to come in there. So what do you think? What do you think about the college football playoff, about the detriment it is to players? What do you think about Lane opening up LSU for NFL scouts? At Right Step ADV is where you can let me know. Tomorrow we get into December meetings, all the things the scouts are doing. Wednesday we check in on the American Bowl. So make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you're following, sharing this episode wherever you're at. And most importantly, make sure you're scouting.